One of our favorite sponsors is back with us, Sunset Lake CBD.
Yeah.
If you're looking for CBD that actually does what CBD is supposed to do, look no further than our friends over at Sunset Lake.
Let me break it down.
Break it down, Mel.
They're sustainably farmed, meaning they avoid pesticides and use sustainable farming practices to preserve the land for future generations. 1. 2, farm to table. They ship the CBD products straight from their door in Vermont directly to your door wherever you're at.
Now that's cool.
And third party tested. They test everything with a third party to ensure quality, dosage, and safety.
You got to go over and check out sunsetlakecbd.com. They have so many products. Break it down for them, Apple.
Well, they've got some new stuff going on. Like they always had pre-rolls, but now they got really cool packaging for it. And you can get CBD pre-roll flights of all their flavors. You can get the heavy hitter flight that also throws in some of their Keef blunts. They have a new CBD recovery body lotion.
I'm excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other?
The other one with arnica.
The extra strength muscle rub, 3,000 milligram with 5% lidocaine.
So look,
Oh, yeah,
if you're
lidocaine.
sore, this is the stuff you want to rub on your body to make those aches and pains go away. They even have CBD infused coffee, so you can have coffee without the little jitter that you get from caffeine, and you have it in the morning and you start your day off right. Your body feels lubricated. You're going to sleep good.
Yeah, and also they have, if you kind of forget to reorder, they've got subscriptions.
And they're giving the No Simple Road family 20% off.
20% off.
Put
with
in the promo code NSR20 when you're checking out at sunsetlakecbd.com. You're going to get 20% off your entire order.
NSR20.
And don't forget those cute little gummy bears.
That's right. sunsetlakecbd.com, one of our favorite sponsors, is back. Sitting around at home, you're trying to decide what to do for dinner, and you can go support some big conglomerate bullshit place that doesn't care about you. Or if you live in Portland or Denver, you can support the greater Grateful Dead and Fish family by going to Fire on the Mountain, and they are going to support you by putting something delicious and hot and wonderful in your belly. And they have new sauces out at the Burnside location. They got a peanut curry sauce and a lemon pepper dry rub.
The Interstate location has the chili lime sauce, and the Thai meets Texas dry rub.
And then the Fremont location has the lemon pepper sauce and the Creole dry rub.
And if you want to see what the specials are going on at all of these places, go to FOTMPDX and FOTMDEN, right?
DENVER.
Denver.
It's Denver spelled
OTM
out.
Denver. And you can see all the specials they have going on at all of the locations in Denver and in Portland. And hey, check this out. It is the holidays and they have dope ass swag. Go check out the website, portlandwings.com. They have a bunch of swag up there. You can order that. You can order the sauces, so you can get your hoodie, you can get your sauces. You could sit at home and have all that delivered to you, and then you could wear your hoodie and cook the sauces, and it would be a whole like Grateful Dead Fire on the Mountain
Throw down,
thing.
ho down.
Yeah. So
While listening to Fire on the Mountain.
Absolutely.
it would be like Fire on the Mountainception. Check that out. Fire on the Mountain. Do it. Are you secretly longing to ring a silent bell? Do you ever find yourself wishing you were a headlight on a northbound train? Don't be alarmed. No Simple Road and Shop Tour Bus can help. Cure your dizzying symptoms with a one-time double dose of your China Cat Sunflower and Know You Rider teas. Available for the first time as one bundle. Buy the China Cat, get the Rider for 25% off, which is like free shipping. And all teas come with good vibes at no additional expense. When you're checking out at shoptourbus.com, use the code CHINARIDER, and if you buy that bundle, you're going to get the Rider with your China for 25% off. Or you can look at all the other amazing Grateful Dead inspired designs they have over at Shop Tour Bus. And when you check out, put in the promo code No Simple Road, all one word, and you are going to get free shipping on that with that box and all the extras that come in it and the bootleg miracle that you just might get in your order. So go check out shoptourbus.com.
Hey everyone, Chris Pandolfi from the infamous String Dusters here to let you know that my podcast, Inside the Musician's Brain, is back on the airwaves for Season 4, which means it's time once again to get deep with influential musicians from all across the musical landscape to really understand and translate the lessons of success, failure, inspiration, and hard work that are behind the music and the artists that we love. My guests this season include Rachel Price from Lake Street Dives, Sam Bush, Chris Wood, Chris Funk from The Decemberists, Lindsay Liu, MC Taylor from His Golden Messenger, and more. Check us out, and thanks for listening.
We're so excited to tell you a bit about today's sponsor, Music Masters Collective. They are a nonprofit organization that produces unique music events, providing opportunities for fans and artists to meet and collaborate in an inspired and creative atmosphere.
Music Masters Collective events give you the opportunity to learn from world-class musicians like Otil Burbridge, Steve Earle, Richard Thompson, former members of the band, the Milk Carton Kids, Nikki Glaspie, the Fab Four, and Sean Colvin, and so many more.
At an event like the Milk Carton Kids Sad Song Summer Camp happening this July, you can expect immersive classes, evenings of entertainment, excellent food, and a space for a lucky group of folks to learn, co-write, workshop, and perform with like-minded peers, all with the guidance of Kenneth Pattengale, Joey Ryan, and some of their favorite songwriters. This all-inclusive week in the Catskill Mountains of upstate New York is guaranteed to be magical. Scholarships are available and spots are extremely limited, so visit www.sadsongsummercamp.com/simple to learn more. That's www.sadsongsummercamp.com/simple. Check it out. No Simple Road family, what's happening? How's everybody doing? It's a beautiful Monday morning. It's Erin, and I'm here in your ears this morning to hang out with you. We have another really, really cool Monday episode for everybody. This is Erin and Liz, the creators of the Grateful Dead Tarot deck, and the reason that we're releasing this on a Monday as opposed to like a regular Friday interview episode is what we did here with Erin and Liz is we all sat down and we did a tarot reading for the year to come for the entire No Simple Road family. And I just thought that this would be a good Monday episode for everybody. And I mean, we use the Grateful Dead Tarot deck, obviously, because Erin and Liz are the creators, but this deck, and if you listen to the show, you've heard us say this deck is a really, really special divinatory tool. It speaks our language because we're deadheads, and it is written and drawn and formed in the icons and the pictures and the energy that we have all spent our lives following around, loving, and listening to. And so this deck speaks really loud, and we thought that it would be super rad. Actually, Mel had this idea. I got to give Mel full credit. Thought it would be super rad if we did a year to come reading for No Simple Road and the No Simple Road family. So what you're about to hear is each of us will pull a card. I think we start with Mel, does January, I do February, Apple does March, Erin and Liz do April, May, so on and so forth. And you can follow along. This reading is not just for us. It is for you as well. Because we are part of the community together and you are listeners of the show. I like to think that energetically there is a link between all of us, that there's we share space in the web of energy that is reality. And because of that proximity of vibratory space that we share, when we do these readings, they are not just hours and hours alone. They are also for you. And I would hazard a guess to say that when you listen to this, you're going to find some synchronicities and strangeness and wonderful information. And I'm super stoked to have all of you hear this. The ladies from the Grateful Dead Tarot have been so kind as to do a 48-hour discount code for the No Simple Road family. So if you have been on the fence or not on the fence about buying the Grateful Dead Tarot deck, you can do that now for 20% off with the code SIMPLE20 when you're checking out. So use the code SIMPLE20. I'm going to tell you that this deck is not, you're not just buying a deck of cards. You are getting a whole lot more than that. When you go to the website, you'll see what I'm talking about. I don't want to do a long commercial for it. You guys know what I'm talking about. So if you've been thinking about getting the Grateful Dead Tarot deck, again, use the code SIMPLE20. You've got 48 hours. So that would be, I don't know, Monday to on Wednesday evening. I think it will expire. So get it before then. It is now the 12th of December. So that would be the 14th. Yeah. So I hope that you have a beautiful, fun, amazing Monday. I hope that you're cozy and warm and that you're with the people that matter the most to you. And as always with tarot readings, if any of you out there have any questions, want to know more, want to have something deeper explained to you about the reading, because like I said, this does apply to you as well. You can always reach out to us here at No Simple Road at info@nosimpleroad.com, and you can find the Grateful Dead Tarot deck at gratefuldeadtarot.com. So go check that out, and I am going to get you to the show. Here we go. I want to, before we get too deep, I would love it if you ladies would introduce yourselves to everybody so they know what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Liz. I am the author of the Grateful Dead Tarot. I am an astrologer. I'm a tarot reader. I'm a dance therapist, a yogi, a mother, and I don't know what else. I live in Maine, and I love the Grateful Dead. I love live music, and it's been hugely informing.
And you're a good friend.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yes.
Throw that in there.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I do try.
Yeah.
I really do.
She's a keeper for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Guys.
Let's see. I am Erin, and I'm the co-creator of Grateful Dead Tarot. I am the product designer and the illustrator. And what else do I do? Currently I am the head textile designer for a brand called the Hippie Shake, and do a lot of other side art projects, and am moving back into the now legal cannabis space because I kind of got kicked out by the DEA years ago. So some other news surrounding the Grateful Dead Tarot and the website is that over the years since we last spoke with you, Liz and I did 2 courses, 6 classes each, one in the minor arcana and then one in the major. And we have edited all those videos. There's downloadable journal pages and song codes and playlists.
Wow.
And those are now available on our website as well. And you can either do the whole shebang at once, or we do have like a payment option on those. And then the big news is that for those of your listeners who have already purchased the box set, or those who have been waiting to purchase it, we have made the decision that future versions of the Grateful Dead Tarot deck will not be a box set. And so we've heard from the community, like lots of people love the like luxury product. And that was the point of making the box set, was to have, you know, really high-end luxury collectible.
Yeah.
But we also have heard feedback that not all members of our community feel like they can truly afford it. So we have decided to make this version of the Grateful Dead box set limited edition.
Oh, wow.
That's it. no more box set, no more keepsake box for your end table. The book, of course, will still be as robust as it is with all of Liz's writing, but we may move into paperback versions of the book. The current book is hardcover, perfect sewn bound with like a ribbon marker, and it is in the liner notes that it's first edition. So, and then even the deck itself, probably as we move forward, we may make some changes to that to really, really make sure, even if it's just color changes, or maybe change the back design, just to make sure that the people who do invest in the box set, that you are really like, that's it, limited edition. When it's sold out, it's sold out, and we're over halfway through the edition.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, it's we've said this, Mel and I like have done readings for listeners and stuff, and this isn't a sales thing. This is real. Like this deck, I after thinking about it a bit, I think it's because of our connection with the music and our connection with the energy of the Grateful Dead and its iconography, that this deck speaks louder than any tarot deck I've ever worked with. Like, I worked with the Thoth deck for a really long time and the Rider-Waite, and I'm even a member of the OTO, so like the Thoth deck meant a lot to me and had a lot of connection to it, but I never experienced that deck speaking quite so eloquently as this one does. And like this one kind of cuts to the heart of the matter really quick, where other stuff can be kind of ephemeral. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Other decks can be ambiguous or lofty, or there's a lot of interpretation. This is just like, boom, it lays it down for you in a really beautiful kind of a way.
I have some thoughts about that. Something that's kind of arisen in my mindset as unlike Liz, I was not a professional energy healer or reader prior to creating this deck. I mean, I've read tarot for myself and friends since I was a teenager. I was well versed in what it all meant or whatever. But as I've really trial by fire been thrown into festivals and concerts and just reading for strangers over and over, my concept of how the tarot works is like quantum physics. It's like everything in the world is swimming in the same energy pool. And when you break down every solid thing that you see to the smallest particles, we're all just made out of the same stuff, including the deck, including us. And the only thing really functioning is energy. And so that is why, you know, we'll have these wild experiences at concerts where the same card will come up that day, and then like the next day it'll be a different card for multiple people, like beyond statistics. And so I kind of wonder if one of the reasons that, I don't know if you've read off of other decks as well, but both or all of the creators of the two decks you mentioned are kind of long past, and though their energy is still present in the world, because energy doesn't disappear, Liz and I are not only both very much alive right now,
Wow.
but we're part of your community. And so maybe, you know, maybe that has something to do with the energy that you're grabbing.
You made Mel cry. Why are you crying, babe?
I think that's a super interesting thought, Erin. I hadn't actually thought about that.
What's that?
That it's not only the connection maybe to the music, but the connection to the community itself, right? And to like us as being members of that community, and the way that translates to, I don't know, maybe like a more, I don't quite want to say interactive, but that's what's coming through, like a more easily accessible, like energetic.
Wow.
And more alive.
Yeah. Quite literally. What's up, Mel? What got you all verklempt over there?
It felt like truth when you said that. And I was thinking like, you're right. Like there's this incredible piece of art that you both put into this world. And since we had you on the show, we've met you, we've hung out, we've partied, we've seen each other at the shows, met your kids and stuff. Like there's a deeper meaning for us having these cards, the three of us, than just we bought these decks because we thought they were cool. We are literally supporting our sisters and like feeling the energy that they put into these cards every time we pick them up. And then since Erin and I have been reading together for some of our listeners, it's never hit me like we're doing, readings together, which we've done that before, but it's not a thing we have always done. So it's these messages are hitting us, like it's helping us speak better as a couple to the reading better. The deck it's helping us to like get our point across, or not our point, but like our interpretation so much easier and hit like really strong. And you saying that, Erin, really just made me like, you are very much alive and well and at the prime of your lives and have so much to say and still experience and do. And to have something like this as a companion for you, like I look at tarot deck like a scarf that you don't like leave anywhere. You bring with you all the time. And that's what it's been for me. And it just like you saying that just really, it hit home for me that's it. We're sharing your energy and you're so vibrant. And so it's so loud.
And also going back to what you said about everything is energy. And if you break it down to its smallest part, like everything is connected and it's all kind of the same soup. I said that exact same thing to the last person we listened to, we read for. Almost word for word what you just said. And that right there is testimony to the power of the thing. And the reason I said that to the person that we were reading for was they had never had a tarot reading before. And I could tell that they were a little bit, not weirded out, but like it was spooky. You know what I mean?
Like apprehensive of
not apprehensive, just it was spooky. And like I wanted to demystify it immediately. Like there's no hoodoo going on here. This is energy that we're talking about. This is there. You know what I mean? It's not no,
it's literally science. I mean, I've been using that as a way to like rope in. There's a certain demographic that seems to never want to take the free one card pull. And I try to, make them a little less nervous. And then I also say, there are people out there, and, I'm not going to deny that because I truly believe it, that can speak to the dead, that can see other realms. And they do use tarot cards. And I'm sure that it becomes an even more powerful tool in their hands. But like anybody can read tarot because we're all in this energy. And it's really not a description of the future. It's like you're on a path at every moment of every day of your life. And at every moment, that path could tree branch off to the left or the right or straight ahead. And the tarot is a snapshot of that fork in the road right now, right now. If you decide to not kind of listen to some of the underlying things that are happening and you decide to just stay straight ahead, cool. These are probably some of the things that might happen in the future. But if you want to say, oh, well, if I keep, trying to manipulate these people around me in this relationship, that maybe that's not a good idea, then you're going to take some of the advice or objects that are being presented to you and perhaps take a left-hand turn and change the path that you're on. And that's kind of what tarot is about. It's kind of like, here's a snapshot of that here and now. And because you have a snapshot, you could see a probable outcome. But if you decide to make a choice with this new information, you can change the path you're on.
Wow. That's really well said. That's really, really cool. And I love that, like making it more scientific to demystify stuff. I'm all about magic. I love it. It's my whole life, but there's a time and a place, there's balance. And being able to see both sides of it and have it be as woo and kooky as you want it to be, and to be as scientific as you want to be. There's a middle point there, that middle road that like that encompasses the whole thing. And that's,
well, I think science is moving towards magic. Magic is moving towards science.
Yeah.
The more we learn, the more we realize that like everything is like so magical, like, you know, geometric patterns and flowers and stuff like that shit is crazy magical, but it's also science.
I saw this is stupid, but I saw a picture of this guy like bent over like the letter C looking at his phone, and somebody laid the golden mean over it. So it was that perfect spiral of him, just everything. It's everywhere. You can't escape it. Even the dude leaned over looking at his phone. So what were you ladies thinking about doing with our decks tonight?
I thought it would be fun to do a year to come for 2023.
Fuck yeah.
What do you think?
I'm down. Let's do it.
My thoughts would be, we all have our decks, so we can maybe take turns shuffling and pulling cards, and maybe just trust if we happen to pull the same card.
Okay.
We can just kind of work with that. And, when we pull a card, we can go around and just maybe a few minutes on each card and talk about what insights we have. And then maybe at the end of it, piece it together into what's 2023 look like.
Okay.
I like that.
Like you pull January, then Erin pulls February, like that, or are we all pulling for January?
Oh,
that seems like it could get excessive.
Yeah,
I think so too. Let's go around and one person will do January and someone else will do February.
Before we get started, while I'm shuffling, because I just wanted to say thank you again to you ladies, because this has brought this back into my life, and it really hit home what Erin said about the connection of that. All the other decks have been around for a long time. Those people aren't around that created them. That just dawned on me when you said that. It's like I got to meet you both online in our online world first, and then get this into my hands, and then meet you in person. So it really has much more bearing and life to it and everything. And thank you for what you created for the world and for me to bring this back into my life. I'm still dabbling. I just do it for myself. I haven't done it for anybody, but it's a concept that sits on my table in my room all the time and never gets put away. And that connection that when Erin said that, it's like, wow, that is another part of this. This is from our sisters that are very much alive and very involved in this world, in this community, in this scene, and our lives. Yep. So.
Yeah, and it's rooted still in the archetype of the universe, right? Which held things like the Rider-Waite. But this is, almost, it's like to step up the ladder from that. It's like we had that strong foundation, that incredibly strong, like, story that was put together by those, brilliant creators. Yeah. And that informed this, along with the brilliance and magic and mystery that was the Grateful Dead, that is the Grateful Dead.
Yeah. That makes it so
like the tree just keeps putting out these beautiful branches. And, I feel like we're just so honored to be a single branch on that tree, like just
this community just keep giving back and giving back and giving back throughout my life. I mean, it's insane. I just did a library forum here in Woodstock about Grateful Dead tarot. What does the Grateful Dead have to do with tarot, and this, that, and the next thing? And the woman who introduced me was like, I'm a Deadhead too. I saw them a bunch in like the 70s. She's like, but unlike Erin, they didn't change my life, but it really sounds like they changed Erin's life. And I'm like, dude, really, honestly, my whole life is just, honestly, from buying like skeletons in the closet, like when I was like 13 or 14 years old, and then going to a show in the late 80s. Since then, it's just been all of it. Even after Jerry died and I went on Fish, I don't think I would have ever done that if it hadn't been for the Grateful Dead, even though it's a different band, and it's also freaking intertwined. It's insane. I mean, my husband and therefore my children, like, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy when you sum it up like that, with all the little specific things that the Dead has afforded you?
Us.
Oh, everybody.
We wouldn't be doing this for sure.
Everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we were just talking about Erin. And that's why. Yes, Erin and Erin.
Whenever you guys say Erin, I automatically am like, huh?
What?
All right.
So
Dog whistle.
Mel, do you
Aaron
want
with an E and Aaron with an A.
Yeah. So you want to like start with Mel and work your way around?
Let's do that. Yeah, let's take a minute. Just hold your decks in your hands and close your eyes and just take a breath or two with it. I always feel like it's like so important to just really ground into the cards and just breathe it in and breathe it out. And I always just make sure I have, it sounds weird maybe, but a little bit of the deck is here. It's with us. It wants to do this with us. I do tend to think of it as sort of a living source of connection and insight. And so to honor that connection, I don't want to be frivolous or casual too much, but at the same time to not make it heavy or overbearing. So I always just check in with it and check in with my heart and make sure that, yes, this is aligned and this is what we're doing tonight. So it feels good to me. So let's take one more deep breath together. Inhale and exhale. And whenever you're ready, Mel, I love the idea of starting right with you. Why don't you pull us a card for January?
So are we reading reversals or just upright?
That's up to you. Well, whoever pulls the card, you decide how you want to present it. But yeah, it's a tricky thing with the cards. That could be a whole podcast on its own, reversal.
With my Thoth deck, I never read reversals.
Whoa. Okay.
I don't often with this one.
The Queen of Bears has appeared today.
All right.
Mel, why don't you describe the card for everybody listening?
Okay, so the Queen of Bears, the Earth card, the Queen is standing near a river, it looks like, with flowers and even like a little rabbit beside. She's holding onto a bear's hand, and it looks like it could be dusk or early morning. And there is a comet or a shooting star behind her, visible, and the sun is, again, it's kind of a weird position in the sky, so it looks like it could be, going down or up, and then the roses kind of frame the entire card. The colors are like pastel-y kind of colors, like lavender and like a blues and peachy kind of color. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful feeling card. And
the Queen of Bears is the Jade Merchant's daughter from Mountains of the Moon.
Even also on her dress, she has the earth growing on her dress. So she's standing in the earth, and it looks like it's almost her skirt is mimicking the earth. Like she's so part of it that there's really no delineation between earth and her. And so to me, and she's also got a bird on her shoulder, which I did not mention earlier.
That's the carrion crow.
So, to me, just speaking of rooted, she just seems very rooted. And she seems like, well, she's the queen. So she's got this little baby bear and she's holding his hand, and it just feels like she's, teaching him the ways of the land. And, she looks very regal. Clearly she's a queen, but she's like, her stature is, she's not seated. She's still active. So that's another point too. A lot of times queens are sitting on thrones. She's active. She's near a river. There's still lots of life happening around her, and she's in the midst of it because, like I said, it could either be day to night or night to day. And so it just feels that she's kind of, even though she's standing still in this picture, it feels like there's a lot of growth and motion and movement. So that's
so for January, I think what comes to mind for me is that self-care piece, like empowerment, taking care of ourselves, tending our practical realities, not taking things for granted in life, like like you said, like connecting to the land, right? Connecting not only to the land of the earth, but the land of our bodies, right? And like rooting into those practical things that sustain us.
Yeah, because it feels like with the bear, like she's like teaching him, maybe like she's up. To me, this like the Amrit Vela, 3 o'clock in the morning when you wake up and you do your spiritual practices, you cleanse, you do things again, like the landscape of your body is what you tend to, in addition to the earth.
I feel like in direct relation to No Simple Road and the three of us and the show, this card is speaking to like paying attention to home, nurturing the material stuff that we aren't going to have time for once summer shows up again. This is like paying attention to taking care of ourselves, like you said, physically, spiritually, emotionally, being home, being rooted, being grounded, time to be inside, hunkering down with the winter outside. Like January is a time for us to be together as a family, to get our mojo right, to be able to go back out into the world in the summer to bring the magic that we have as the three of us to the community. Does that make sense?
You know what comes up for me with this card sometimes is there's the Jade Merchant's daughter and there's the Marsh King's daughter, right?
Right.
And the lyric, it's time to matter, and it doesn't matter whether you're the wealthy one or like you're like living in a literal bog, there's like something connected there to being in your place of belonging and being who you are and rooting into that comes through really strong. And Mountains of the Moon is such a riddle of a song in many ways. And it is time to matter, it's time that we make the choices that matter, for ourselves, for our bodies, for our inner landscapes.
Yeah. I mean, I love this card for January. For one, the year 2023. I mean, 23 is such a mystical number. This is going to be an important year, I think. But for my own self, I turned 50 in January, which is
congratulations.
Thank you, which is like a big deal. And I love this card. This is, the queens are very much the emotional of the court cards. This is speaking to everybody listening right now. This is a card of self for someone close to you with the court cards. And this is, an emotional card because the queens are water and emotions, but it's also the earth card. It's the pentacles. It is the card of work and home life. And this is somebody or a part of yourself that you need to develop to realize that sometimes the way we show up for ourselves and others is not just always being overtly emotional, but like present in a way that you are caretaking as well, you're a little bit no nonsense this January, and the other thing I love about this card is the carrying crow on her shoulder. And so it's also a really great card for Liz, who always insists that the Grateful Dead tarot kept coming to her at night like a bossy old crow that wouldn't get out of her head until finally she was like, tarot deck.
All right. Yeah.
I love this too. It reminds me too of, I know the queen, like the self, but it reminds me of myself with my grandson. He's here right now and
pounding on the roof above us.
Yeah, and just realize when you have a grandbaby, it makes you realize all the things you want to improve on yourself so that you can show them a better way. And that's what this card shows me, like showing them how to be better always, like even if you're not there, how to be better.
Leading by example by like doing the simple shit, like exercising, eating the right stuff, taking your medicine.
That's what it feels like.
Taking your own medicine, right?
Yes, totally.
None of us want to do that.
No.
I want to. I don't always.
Tough start in January. It feels like nurturing tough love coming through, like time to kind of get a little real, right? Earth is the element of the real.
Tough, but also like loving.
Yeah.
Tough loving.
Yeah,
tough
loving.
All right. Shall we move to February?
Let's do February.
All right.
That was great.
Here we go. Hang on.
This is fun.
Yeah, this is
it is fun. Thank you for recommending this so much.
I think it was Erin's idea to do the year to come, and then I was like, let's do it collaboratively instead of just me or Erin or.
I love it.
Queen of Roses for February.
Which one?
Queen of
the Queen.
Queen of Roses.
The Queen of Roses?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
That was my bottom card when we came down here too.
Was it?
Right.
Yeah.
Weird synchronicities already flowing.
Here
so.
we go.
Well, tell us about it.
All right, hang on. She is seated in this beautiful, what do you call it? Not a stump. It's the base of a tree that's been formed into a throne. And she
It's a
also,
stump.
okay, it's a stump. And she has the carrion crow sitting on her
wow.
throne as well. He is there chilling. Her one toe is in the water of emotion, and her other foot is firmly rooted on the land. And she has the scythe behind her, so she has been at work doing the harvest. She is holding a beautiful bouquet of roses in her hand, and you can see the tilled earth behind her with the crows back there doing their job in the fields, and also the sky has them in there as well. It's not a completely clear sky in this card. There are some clouds in the distance. It doesn't look like a storm is brewing, but there are clouds on the horizon. This card is receptivity, empathy, and acceptance for February.
Maybe we've received the medicine that we needed to take.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. Now she can sit down and have a seat, you know? The other queen was standing upright and kind of poised and teaching.
Oh, it's not the carrion crow, it's a raven.
Okay.
A symbol of prophecy and spiritual communication.
Okay.
Similar, they appear similar in the fact that they're sitting on the shoulder like that is, well, I guess he's on the throne.
Opposite, and this is the opposite. Yeah, that's true. And it's the opposite side.
So weird note about this card and the Mountains of the Moon card is that they were, I struggled a little to place them because they could have been
intertwined.
Inverted.
What?
Yeah. She could have been Mountains of the Moon, and that means the woodcutter's daughter would have been the Queen of Pentacles, but instead the woodcutter's daughter, we chose to make the Queen of Roses because of her offering to the water and her being like the receiving the water and carrying it to her people and offering her silver beads to the stream and her sort of conscious connection to that source of water as flow. And but it was like a really beautiful connection that the Queen of Water, the Queen of Roses, and the Queen of Bears.
Wow.
So the song is Let It Grow, correct?
Yes.
Specifically the woodcutter's daughter. Yeah. I think Let It Grow, the Weather Report suite has actually 3 cards total.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I think about this right, like January is that time for like going inward, paying attention to, and I'm talking about the reading so far, going inward, paying attention to material needs, your physicality, your emotional inner world, your land, your space. February is about the availability of healing and being able to give that to other people. Am I catching this correctly?
Yeah.
I think that's good. So the queens are always water, but then the roses are water. So what you have is doubly someone or coming into a place where you're really, really able to access your emotional space and offer that in an emotional way, right? Last month, you were maybe rooting yourself, grounding yourself, expressing your love by either self-care or taking care of others in more of a, materialistic, for lack of a better word, way. But here, this is like, now you're ready to really show up and do like the emotional work that people need. You're ready to say, I love you. You're great. I'm great. So February is like a really good month for that. An interesting note about that stump throne actually existed. It was on the lawn of my library here in Woodstock, New York. And after a huge storm this summer, I walked by the library. I don't know if it got hit by lightning or what, but it just crumbled into the earth. So now it only exists in the Grateful Dead Tarot.
Wow. Its energy got released back into the cards. That's wild.
Dang. One more thing I thought was interesting is that she has the 1 foot in the water and then the 1 foot on the land. And then behind her is, it clearly looks like she just, she did some work. She tilled the land, but it's kind of looks barren because there's nothing there. But in front, it's flowing water and she's got a bouquet. So this to me also seems like a very balanced, like there's a balance here. She's in the emotion and on the land. She's tilled and she's got the harvest. The birds on the land and they're in the air. It seems like a very balanced thing that's happening in this card to me.
Yeah, you see that again, that same thing. If you look for it both in the major arcana, the fountain card, you'll see the figure is both on the land and in the water, as well as the doorway card, which is Box of Rain, or the original Temperance, in which you are balanced. You are tapping into your emotional wellspring, but you are feeling like you're ready to move forward, that you're keeping a foot on the ground so you don't get swept away.
I love that. Plugged in and loose.
Here we go. You're
It's
up.
a good flow from the January, the Queen of Bears, right? Which is Earth, creating sort of the boundaries that we need within ourselves. And then the Queen of Roses sort of being the flow, right? And you think of how water is held by like a vessel or by a container. And it's like, first we have to create the container and then we get to fill it with this water feeling. Yeah.
And elementally, it's lighter. We had the earth and now we're moving to water. So maybe we'll get some spirit here.
And it's breaking away from the rigidity too, right? That like too strong boundaries can become really like, rigid and stultifying. But the water keeps everything a little bit, in motion. It keeps us adaptable.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Apple.
All right.
No, that's
March.
okay. No, I like how she's like, maybe we'll get.
Did you pull your card already?
Yeah. Melissa's to say, well, maybe we'll find more out about the water, and I pulled the river. Yeah. Okay.
It's the card I pulled. So now we so far have the card that Erin pulled when we all first started, and the card that I pulled when we all first started.
Apple pulled that one.
Yeah, I pulled
the Queen of Apple pulled the Queen of Roses.
Oh, right
that was my bottom card when they were all looking at their cards when they came down. Yeah, so that was and then now the river again here. So
you can tell when they have something to say.
Broke down palace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and as he says that there's a palace in the background with is it the moon? It looks like a representation of the moon and the sun, like happening there. And then there's a rose in the center of it above the broke down palace with it looks like ivy roses growing up around it. Very colorful. The mountains in the background. And it appears to be a dark sky at like nighttime in this broke down palace. And then in the very front is a skeleton, like half buried or half unearthed, half full, half empty, however you want to look at that. And I'm please interpretation.
What does the song Broke Down Palace bring up for you?
What does it bring up for what? I'd say that takes me back to childhood, like Broke Down Palace and like healing and like thinking about things that have been broken and healing them and seeking fulfillment in the world nowadays, and for like kind of putting things that were broke down and passed behind you and stuff and moving on and
like
rebuilding that palace, airing that palace out, because what do you want to do with a beautiful palace if it's broke down? You want to fix it and make it beautiful again, to invite people in, and especially yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And if it's too far gone, how do you release it? Right. How do you let it go and allow yourself to flow with what comes next?
Well, it's like the skeleton being half, it's, to me, that's kind of the half. And how are you going to look at that? Is it half buried? Is it half unearthed? Kind of like the glass half full, like also like about making decisions.
I love that. He's floating kind of in the river, but he's also, is he sinking or is he floating, And that's the struggle of this card. In the traditional tarot, it's the death card, which usually scares people, but it's not, like you're going to die. It's like something in your life is going to die. And are you going to fight that change, or are you going to get in the river and let it carry you towards the palace? Are you going to let it heal you? Are the waters going to heal you, or are they going to drown you?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a choice.
That's, I feel like I say that there's a decision like to be made there. It's like well, how are you going to look at this?
Well, you can look at it like he's floating in the river toward the palace, or floating in the river away from the palace. And I think it's completely 100% up to him which way the water is flowing.
Yeah.
Of that too.
Yeah. In relation to the month of March, how would we look at this?
Maybe letting go, letting go of some, there'll be transitions, right? There will be things in our lives that now that we've gone through this, it sounds like we're going to be embarking on a little personal healing journey, again, with the Queen of Pentacles, strengthening our interior landscape, the Queen of Roses, infusing us with emotional and spiritual healing. And then now we're ready to release those old patterns, those old stories, those old broke down palace that we've all been attached to, that's been holding us back for so long, as a collective.
I want to say something about that, about collective. If you're listening to this right now,
you said that.
This isn't just for us. This reading is for you too. You are, like we were saying at the beginning of this, everything is energy. We are all one community, and we're all basically reflections of each other. And so we are standing in for you, the listener, having this reading done for us, for you too. As applicable as this is to us, I guarantee you that guys that are listening will find parallel and synchronicity in what we're talking about too. And that isn't you trying to find meaning where there isn't. That's this deck speaking to you through us the way that it does. So if you're listening, be along for the ride too. You're not a spectator, you're a participant.
And I know speaking for Erin and I, we would love to hear, like, if you have a really beautiful experience with the cards or, this reading, we would love to know.
One thing I do love about this card is that, we just mentioned it could be floating either way. But the way that the palace is, it looks like it's decked out in like party favors. The way that you drew the roses and the vines, it looks like confetti or some kind of
Ivy.
Excitement. But then also
I'm picturing Shakedown Street at the end of the night.
Yes.
It's like balloons and crumpled up easy ups.
Yes. Ice cold fatties.
Oh my God.
Gotta leave this broke down palace.
Yes. The sunshine that's inside of the darkness and the light that's reflecting on the skeleton from that sun just leads me to believe that it's in constant motion, this card. It's just not static.
Yeah, death is not the end.
Yeah,
I drew one to look like a 1970s blacklight poster.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah.
It's the only one that I was like, oh, I'm going to make the skeleton neon blue, and everything's super, super bright.
It's very vibrant.
I love it.
That's the first thing that jumps out on it.
All right, Mel. Skull and Roses.
Oh, no. I thought Erin and Liz.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
I think the other thing that's coming up for me with that card, I'm completely drawing a blank now that I said that.
Oh.
Oh, you know what it is? It's the lyric, Mama, Mama, many worlds I've come since I first left home.
That's the one that gets
We
me.
each go through so many incarnations of ourselves. We're living and dying every moment of our lives, and so it's tuning into that process of what are we now ready to release, right? It's like, what world are we now entering as we let go of this old world?
Which,
So
Well,
for March,
go ahead.
which just
April. Liz, you go next. That was the
Hold
perfect
on.
we're
lead
going
in.
into April. All right, let's see.
We're gonna go back to
We had a
April
technical
again.
difficulty, everybody. I apologize. We are going back to April and
Yeah.
Page of Bolts,
Well,
right?
The Page of Bolts, right? So the Page of Bolts is a court card. Court cards are people. Often, sometimes they're ourselves, and sometimes there are other people will bring this energy into our lives. The page is the energy of Earth, the element of Earth, but it's also the energetic of childhood, of new beginnings, of starting over. A bolt is representative of the fire element. And so we have a lot of passion with this card. We have a youthful figure leaning on a very large bolt, and there's flowers and bloom around her and light, and it's all a very dynamic energy. The song that goes with this card is Ramble on Rose, which is a very, like, one goes up, one goes down, take you to the leader of the band, right? She wants to move. She wants to experience all that life has to offer, the good and the bad. But because of that naivety that comes with childhood, there is an energy of maybe being a little too trusting, or a little too just like wet behind the ears. Maybe that's a weird way to say that, but it's like we're testing our wings for the first time. So we've created this new container for ourselves. We've released the old story, and now as the page comes in April, we are super ready to like launch pad into life. And yet it's important that we honor that earth element of the page, and remember to stay grounded, right? To not necessarily leap before we look. We're definitely going to look. We're definitely going to leap, but we want to look too. We want to have a little bit of a plan mapped out.
It is great.
Yeah,
This is crazy. This is nuts. So April is the beginning of festival season. Okay. This is the beginning of us. So like January, February was all about like here, nurturing, working on ourselves, then, working through the letting go, and now it's time to move back out. And this card falls literally in the month when we are physically moving back out into the physical world with No Simple Road, right?
And it's spring. The earth comes back. Right. It's springtime.
And our opportunities past, I'm not going to say I would say yes to everything. I'd be like, yes, we'll go. Yes, we'll be at that festival. Yes, we'll go. And when everything would be done at the end of the season, we would be burnt. Right? And we have had a conversation between the three of us this year of like, when these opportunities come up this year, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to pick the ones that we all feel like we want to do. You know what I mean? The most. We're not just going to do it because we can. We're going to do it because we want to. And so I think that's exactly what this card is representing for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Page of Bolts for me, I mean, most of the pages, they're like, there's 4 stages of the court cards. And so as Liz said, this is kind of like the early childhood. But if you notice in the card, the figure is standing, and she's kind of daydreaming. She's leaning on that bolt. She has this massive, so the bolts are creative manifestation, and it doesn't mean like artistic manifestation, though it can. I mean, you could be an accountant, and that could be your creative way of living, right? Yeah. That's your manifestation. And so she doesn't have that bolt in her hand. When you see the other 3 bolt court cards, they all have the bolt in their hand in some way. She's leaning on this massive buildup of creative manifestation, and she's maybe a little unfocused, right? She hasn't quite decided where she's taken that bolt and which direction she's going in. So that speaks really well to kind of like what you were saying. Like it's an opportunity to kind of for everybody to reflect. And a lot of people's lives move into a more active space. Kids get out of school. Some people don't have work in the summer. People like to plan their vacation days or whatever it is. So, you know, this is a great card for April to kind of really be like, I have all these things I want to do. Let me get focused, you know, let me get that bolt into my hand and decide the direction I'm moving in.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, it's a lot. I mean, fire is about harnessing the will, harnessing your desire. You know, what are you putting out into the world? Like what force within you are you channeling to create? And she's asking you to get grounded through that page energy. You know, for a child, it might feel like you're on, you know, the parent who's like, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. But for us, it's more like, how do we meet the demands of the world while simultaneously, following our creative instincts
Still
and
having
impulse.
fun. Yep.
All right.
This
So
definitely suggests fun on the way in April.
Yes.
Okay. So I love this card this is great. This is a really nice little reading we have happening. I just pulled the 7 of Bears. Again, Bears is our pentacles. It's the earth element. It's work. And I am trying to remember the song. It is the Pride of Cucamonga, which is an interesting song. You know, it's a little look at the Emerald Triangle of Northern California and what they're doing up there, right?
Okay.
And so in this card we see a bear, and the bear honestly looks a little tired. They've got a side purse that's apparently filled with seeds, and they are planting these seeds. And right behind the bear, you've got some sproutlings, then some bigger flowers, and then surrounding the bear in the background are this huge garden of sunflowers with all these tiny little happy bear faces. And there's a radiant sun and kind of a hot pink and orange in the background. And the bear is like not paying attention to any of that. And so really like the message of this card here is like 7 is like a leveling up. Like it is a number of ascension. And when we get to this card, it's a little bit of a not a warning, but kind of like, hey there, little bear, you have been working your butt off and you have achieved this beautiful garden in your life through your work. And you're not taking the time to realize that you have leveled up. You're still working. No one's asking you to stop working, but we are asking you to turn around and appreciate the things that you have brought into your life through home or work aspects. So it's kind of a great card to follow. The bolts, the page of bolts, in which, you know, you're a little unfocused. You're kind of like, where am I putting my energy? And May is saying, you know what? We want you to appreciate where you've already put your energy.
Oh, shit.
Dang.
Oh,
I love
shit.
return to the earth element. You know, we started in January with earth, and now we're revisiting earth element. Interesting about that card is the way the bear had his back turned to the harvest. Also kind of reminded me of Rose, Ramble on Rose, in the page of bolts, and the way she was sort of leaning on the bolt. And now instead of the bolt supporting her, now it's like this figure of the bear is like doing all this work, right? It's like a lot more output. And earth is a less active element. You have to move it, you know, whereas fire is like super active in and of itself. So it's a grind, kind of.
The bear's purse that he's pulling those seeds out of has the bolt on it.
Yes,
wow.
And it's the same coloring.
He's pulling out his, the creative
and continuing to sprinkle it into the ground, and is totally ignoring like all this great sunflowers that have come into his life because of it.
All right.
It happens.
I like that you suggest that it's maybe a little warning card, right? It's like, hey, like, come on. Take that step back and focus on what you want to create.
Yeah. And
I think when we get further into the year, we lose sight of like, we're happy we made it through another year. We're excited about a new beginning. Now it feels like we're in the year again, and we forgot all the stuff that we had just gone through and all the things that we've planned that are now actually coming to fruition. So this is a good heads up. Like, look, you have done enough. You don't need to keep going. You are going to keep going, clearly, because he's got his purse and he's got his seeds, but take a look around.
You know, my son is 20 and he just moved out, and he actually is the reason that we're doing this podcast. Like, he bought me a microphone for Father's Day and was like, you guys should do a podcast. And then this happened. And,
nice.
And he said something to me.
What is a city without its music?
The legacy of the New York Philharmonic is incredible.
Nearly 2 centuries of history. That's a lot of music and a lot of stories.
I was sitting on stage for the very first time thinking, I can't quite believe this is happening.
Join me, Jamie Bernstein, as we explore the history of the New York Philharmonic. It's the NY Phil Story Made in New York, a podcast about a city, its people, and their orchestra. Listen wherever you get podcasts.
My daughter and him both said, you know, everybody we know, like, is talking about starting podcasts, and like, it's so hard, and you guys have fucking killed it. Like, 5 years you've done this show, and look at all the stuff you've done, and just like laying it down.
Because they see the other side,
right,
that nobody gets to see.
Right. Of like how hard I'm working, and what we're all doing and all of it. And it really like rung my bell. It was today. And it made me like stop and be like, holy shit. I've achieved what I set out to do already. It's here. Like, I'm in it, and I wasn't seeing it fully. Like, of course I have moments, you know what I mean? But like, to fully be aware of it as it's happening, that's wild. And it's all because of my kids saying that to me today. Was like,
I love that.
Wow.
And
that's this card.
Looking at right now, which is kind of cracking me up, because when we first started the podcast, I don't know if you were recording or not, I was like, holy shit, look at your studio. Last year when we came on and talked to you, you had just kicked Apple out of the bedroom. And it was like, and now it's like neon pink and dark blue LED lighting and like artwork. So guys, turn around and look at your studio. It's your sunflower.
Look what's happened.
No, you know what? I think we all go through our different phases, you know, of really like, oh my gosh, we're doing something incredible. But one of the things when people log on with us through Zoom, and they're like, almost always the first thing is like, nice studio, guys. And it's, you know, it's not about like, you know, pat on the back. It's like what you just said, Erin. Like, we were in this tiny ass room making it happen and having fun and loving it and doing great.
Yeah,
but to recognize like, oh yeah, and we do have a studio now, and it's beautiful. And like, this amazing fish piece that we have was gifted to us by the artist himself, and like just all the little things. Our beautiful Grateful Dead tarot deck from our NSR family, the big beautiful collector's box, and like all these things are from what we've created, and that is, yeah, it doesn't get old. I'll tell you that.
This card is extra poignant, and the message is really loud and clear.
Okay.
It's time for, there is something in it that speaks to me about like when you know how you have that flash of inspiration and you're so inspired and you can't wait, and it's going, and then at some point there is a shift where it's like, I love this, and then it, you know, becomes a little more work and a little more work, and then you're kind of grinding.
Yes.
You know, and we all have those moments. It's like doing what you love at some point when you turn it into your job, like it's still a job. It's still work. Yeah. And I think, you know, to me, that's kind of what's coming up for me is like, okay, we've initiated this new reality, right? We've, you know, and now we have to actually kind of put our money where our mouth is and keep going and keep plugging away, because we might not see the results yet. The results are there, but they're kind of unconscious. We're not looking at them.
Right.
We don't see them in our field ahead of us. We have to trust that the seeds that we're planting are growing, and so we have to be aware, to me of like a negative mindset. It's really easy to fall into that. Like the look on the bear's face is like, is this, oh my God, preaching the choir.
I'm pointing at myself. For everybody watching, I'm pointing at myself.
I've been guilty as charged lately. So, but it's like, I think that's maybe it is like, we really have to be aware now of the process that it takes to reach a harvest.
Well,
and it's not just put the seed in the ground, boom, a plant. We have to tend that shit. We've got to work for that shit. And yes, they're growing, but they're growing in the background as we continue to do our work. It's not yet harvest time, but we might feel emotionally and energetically like nothing's happening. So at some point in the month of April, are we in April? May, which is Taurus season. We're gonna have to kind of put some faith in that the seeds we've sown are thriving, and we're gonna want to keep tending them.
We are in, I don't want to like downplay any other time in history, but we're in a really active time right now too, just overall, as far as like the energy of the planet and everything that's going on. We are in a very like active time is fast, like things are moving. And so what we're planting, you got to pay attention. You got to tend that garden, because stuff is sprouts and dies at breakneck speed nowadays. So I hear you loud and clear.
Keep it up. So when we reach the month of May, we're going to want to keep hanging there.
Okay. Got it.
Hang in there. Who's up for June?
Mel's got June.
I've got June.
We're halfway through the year now.
I know.
Hey.
Whoa. Well, the Queen of Roses came to join us for again. Is that allowed?
Okay. Yeah.
Is that allowed?
Yeah, I think we roll with it.
I don't know why 3 times now during this reading she's appeared, but we had her for the month of February, and I shuffled my cards thoroughly between this.
We trust you.
So Water of Water again. So now we're in June. We're halfway through the year.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
You can't make this shit up. I shuffled my deck twice.
So all 3 of you have now pulled the Queen of Roses.
She's sitting on the bottom of my deck.
That's where she started, on the bottom.
Wow.
Okay, there, yeah.
Talk about with the non-statistical energy weirdness. And so people listening, we're talking about 3 separate decks, 3 different people.
Jesus.
At the beginning in February and now in June have all pulled the Queen of Roses.
With 78 cards in each of these decks. Clearly we're going to have to take, midway through the year is also another time for reflection. You have like the rest of the year ahead of you, but you've also gone half of a year. And so, like I mentioned earlier about the balance, we're, like I said, we're right in the middle. She's got this balance, and it just feels more and more like sitting here, she's in an enjoyment phase with her work done, seated, enjoying her, like she's just looking at the roses. She's looking and holding, and it doesn't look like she's giving them away or keeping them. She's like
tending to the love that she's created.
And the bird almost even seems to be in motion, talking or singing. So
and think about the song is Let It Grow again. And I just think of like, if I'm at a show and they reprise Let It Grow, like that message is coming through hardcore at this point. Like,
in case you didn't catch it the first time or the second or the third.
And Mel has
away with the love.
Mel has always been the woodcutter's daughter to me.
Aw, that's sweet.
Yeah. So
we'll have to get you a dress like this.
It looks pretty doable. It does. I'm down with it.
So what?
I To me, I see now that, you know, I realize they're different flowers, right? But now she's holding the flowers in her lap. She's admiring them.
Oh,
you know, she's
shit.
gone from like, fuck, this is a grind, to now I can sort of receive.
Yeah.
And the energy of water is very much about receiving. And it's also about giving. So now we've entered a place where we're able to take the abundance that we've worked so hard to, you know, but to do it with love, right? And like, this is the problem with like hustle culture, is we stop loving what we do because it creates scarcity, because we need what we create, you know, to provide for us, rather than just loving it for what it is, right?
So,
you know what?
Going back to why we originally started in the first place. So like, it seems like the middle of the year is that kind of reflection place. Like, look, you just had this festival, and Erin and I by then will have gone to several things.
Fish Mexico,
Skull
and Roses,
North Carolina. Like, there's lots of things that are coming up. So here it's like, it's halfway through the year. Pace yourselves. Enjoy what you did. Sit down and look at smell the freaking roses. That's what this smell the roses.
Enjoy.
You know,
give back a little.
Yeah.
You know? Give that love back. Give it back.
Talking about like the grind and losing focus, there's a weird thing that happens with No Simple Road. Like, this show is an egregore. The spirit of it is a thing that is independent of the three of us. And like, I'll have moments where I've lost my focus and I'm grinding and I'm like, why are we even doing this? Like, nobody listens to this show, like whatever my fucking weird head trip is. And the show will come to me and speak through the listeners to me.
Oh, wow.
Legitimately, like, I'll have these moments of just complete doubt, and I'll get 5 emails in one day of like, this episode really turned me on, or thank you guys so much for doing what you're doing. You blessed me. I was having a hard time. And I'll get like 6 of them in one day. And I'm like, whoa, that's the show, like literally speaking to me. Or like, we'll meet somebody at a show that comes to us and is just like in tears.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I hear you loud and clear. You know what I mean? So those moments of doubt, or when I'm lost in the grind, this thing has a way of like coming and making itself known. It's really kind of beautiful.
That's how you know you're doing your soul work.
Yeah, it's dope. It's so dope. All right, July.
July.
It's a big month. Sunflower.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, man.
Looking like an auspicious year here.
Yeah.
It does, actually.
Hang on, let me
There have been a
down.
lot.
We've earned it. We've earned it.
This is-
I'm with you, Erin. I'm with you, Liz.
July is the peach festival month for us. So,
Yay.
Sunflower is the top half of the card is dominated by this amazing sunflower on a blue sky background. There's the 2 characters. It's the, what's the character on the left?
That is, there's China Cat Sunflower in her kimono, right? And then on the other side is Crazy Cat.
Okay, that's
which is
Crazy
a
Cat.
cartoon from the 1920s, and his little sidekick, I don't remember the mouse's name right now, but Crazy Cat peeking through a lace bandana. Instead, I have the Crazy Cat kind of peeking through a tab of acid with a third eye symbol on it. But I mean, that's like our lace bandana, right?
Yeah, sure. And they're standing on a mandala of the 13-point bolt with it's darker green and lighter green, and then a tower with sunflowers growing all around the outside of it.
The copper domed Bodai.
Copper dome.
And the wall is man-made and brick, and shows that there is a part of so this card is all about kind of like auspiciousness, about coming into your own and grasping the magic of your life, right?
Oh, wow.
So in the original Rider-Waite deck, which is, so masterfully illustrated that almost all tarot decks play off of that deck in one way or another. you have two children dancing in a fairy ring on the ground. So the stele, or the bolt circle, is kind of like the fairy ring that Crazy Cat and the China Cat are dancing in. The wall symbolizes that the work that you've done to bring this into your life, and those other sunflowers are kind of representative of, again, just like the 7 of bears, the sunflowers that you have grown, the things that come out of the work that we do. And yet the one sunflower is turned back to the sun because it is looking towards the future for the things that are still coming in, the connection to the divine.
Well, and I also see it as like what was idea in the beginning of the reading and planted and then grown has like disconnected into the realm of spirit and is the thing that's actually illuminating everything at this point, right? The idea has taken root and is now the engine, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love that in the way that the bolt is on the ground, you know, and now it's reflected up in spirit, and you see, like, it feels like harvest time, you know. It's like now that bear gets to turn around and he gets to take part in the dance and he gets to relax and surrender. And I love the structure here because it brings me back to that element of earth that we worked hard at in January to create some boundaries and create some structure. Like this fulfillment doesn't come without the work that we've done, without what we've put into it, you know, without the solidity that we've created within ourselves. It's about knowing yourself, you know, and really, reaping the harvest, but not just like money, you know, or like reward, but like, I see myself in the world the way that I am. It's like
we've worked on that broke down palace, and
now it's a copper dome.
I was just about to say that, Apple. There's very few truly architectural representations aside from pyramids in these cards. And 2 of the cards that have that is the broke down palace, the castle and the broke down palace card. And now you've got this temple, the copper domed Bodhi. And so you've gone into that palace and created a spiritual temple for yourself.
Well, on that note, what they're dancing in also looks like it could be a ritual. Like they've created a circle around them. They've got the floating eye. They're already using their magic. And the China Cat has galaxy dress on. She's got a moon on her sleeve, and they are it almost feels like they're defying the defying material, and they are in a spiritual plane with, I'm wearing a galaxy dress and you're a weird cat man, and you know what I mean, like it just feels like whimsical and you know, appropriately light,
appropriately fun.
And if we're talking about getting outfits, definitely that dress is on.
Mel's all about the clothes.
Heck yeah, I know, Erin. I love all that stuff. Your hippie shake. Yeah, come on. It's great.
That was one of the funnest cards to write, and it was one of the trickiest ones because it was like I knew where it fit, but like, how do you pull or reference those lyrics in any meaningful way?
Right.
Especially because then there was the additional puzzle of not being able to use literal actual lyrics. So it just became, I don't even remember what I wrote at the bottom of the book, but it became like a, you know, like be your own proud walking jingle, but it was like some very funky iteration of it that I was hoping would capture the whimsy.
Oh,
and the
yeah.
You said, so let all the colors of your midnight kimono jingle like pearls through the golden lace of your silk violin, and don't worry about what anyone else thinks. I love it. Well done.
I mean,
that is
props for that.
Yeah. In the 90s, like China Cat Sunflower was one of my top songs from the Grateful Dead. And like doing this card with the deck made me revisit. I mean, it was one of those songs back when we had CDs and there wasn't internet and you couldn't just look up lyrics, that you would stop the CD every verse so you could memorize exactly what they were saying, because it was also kind of like bizarre and like psychedelic, and like, you know, like doing this card, it made me realize that even though none of us know what these lyrics mean when it is set to the Grateful Dead's music, we all know exactly what this fucking song means. Right?
Totally.
Magic.
100%.
All right, Apple.
Apple, you're up, man. August.
All right.
No, not that one.
No, should I put it back?
No, I'm just kidding.
I've already decided if I pull the Casey Jones card, I'm putting it back.
Okay, this one's the 8 of Roses.
Oh.
Whenever you're getting a reading and the reader's like, oh, it's like, oh, shit.
No, 8?
No.
Yeah, so this one is a trip also. You've got in the forefront of the card, you have your 8 roses. Some very in full bloom, a couple hanging in the back, not quite. They're still growing, making their way. This also appears like it's kind of like in a ravine. At the end of a ravine, that it's hard to tell for me on this one. I've looked at this one before, whether this is a ravine that's dry. It looks like it's partially dried up, but there is still some water flowing in the middle. And then there's this blazing, it is a skull, moon, sun, like hybrid happening in the back of this. My left side looking at the card is the moon, the sky with it looks like, you have like the North Star and some other things or stars going on back there, and the moon. And then on the right side is like the blazing sun and the daylight. And it is very much blazing. This card, I don't. Just looking at this now, it to me, it kind of looks like a time. We're in what now? This is August.
Mm-hmm.
So, August, it brings my like a time for decisions, like choosing a path, kind of. It's very split to me, like it's representing day and night. This river.
Is it Ship of Fools?
No, that would have been a good card. So Ship of Fools is probably my single biggest song that I didn't work in.
Okay.
So I love that song, and it's so archetypal. But there are a few very, very beautiful Grateful Dead songs that didn't quite make the cut. We need more tarot.
It's going down the road feeling bad.
Oh,
okay. Wow. So yeah, and open for interpretation. That.
So if we look at this as the garden that we've been tending, right? Those bare flowers, and then the ones that the queen was holding on her lap, and then the beautiful sunflower. Now they're abundant, right? Mm-hmm. But we've also become perhaps a little bit caught in them.
Bramble.
Bramble. There's the tangles of them. To me, what I always think of with this card is that this sort of represents the comfort zone, the world that we're familiar with. It's, all the roses are red, all the thorns poke you the same kind of way. And yet there's this whole other part of the world and of life that remains as yet unexplored. And it's important to leave the familiarity that we've created behind in order to embark on something new and stretch our comfort zones so that we can create what this is so powerful and so dynamic. And it speaks of duality, and it speaks of life, and it speaks of tension, but also creation. And I think of this whole card, to me, represents like a whole journey all in one, from everything we've created. A 4 is 8 is 2 4s, so we have the foundation of the first 4, and then the second 4 builds upon that. So we're really reaching towards something new, but we're rooted in what's already been created. And roses are, of course, the fulfillment of the heart and of healing and of our spiritual truth.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like really going with the theme that we have kind of been exploring in the other 7 months of like what we love can start to become a little bit of a stranglehold. I always tell people, like Liz mentioned, the fours. You've got two fours. Think of two squares connected at the corner. Now you've got like an infinity symbol, right? Yeah. And that energy is looping. Biofeedback. And sometimes that's really good. Sometimes it builds a platform, but sometimes it's kind of like a little bit of a like, oh shit, here we go around the loop-de-loo again, Yes. And so there's nothing necessarily negative about this card, because in the tarot deck, the red roses really are about true love. And there's also blue roses in our deck that speak to a little bit of the shadow. But here they've just kind of become so overgrown. You're feeling trapped that, the one rose that looks like a Tibetan lotus is growing up towards the cliff that goes alongside the dark sea. Water is always emotion in the tarot deck, and this water is dark. But there is a cliff to walk along the side of that dark sea. And the other symbology in this card, which is dominant, obviously the moon and sun skull, is that whenever in the tarot you see both the sun and the moon, it speaks about the endless potential of the entire universe. So you just kind of want to unstick yourself, accept the fact that sometimes the things we love can make us feel a little entrapped, and maybe it's time to explore that and find a bit of a new path.
Got it. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like we came into our own, right? With the sunflower. We're like, yes, here I am. But now we have to be willing to grow even farther and say, okay, like now I can pick up all this beautiful like self-awareness that I've cultivated, but I still have to move forward. I can't just stay here in this place where I feel like comfortable and content and fulfilled. There's more to do.
Got it.
Tell us what it is, Liz.
Weed the garden. Let's see. Are we in September?
Yeah, September.
Yes.
I love that card. It's truly become one of my favorites, and it's, in my experience, and of course everybody might have a different one, it's become one of the ones that I pull the most often. It's one of the more common cards that comes up in a reading, which to me speaks about a lot of the ways that collectively we're looking for safety. We're looking for a safe place rather than wanting to, keep doing the deep work. Here we go. I'm not shitting you.
What?
But I chose the exact same card, and I did shuffle it in very thoroughly.
Oh no,
my God.
Fucking way.
So it's a long.
So we're gonna keep going down that road.
Okay, yeah, that.
Wow.
September brings more of the same sort of healing. This is a deep journey, though. To be fair, like this is not. You can't shortcut life, right? You've got to do the work. That's kind of what shows up for me.
Yeah, you don't get through the shadow in a month.
No.
no. Yeah, that looks like a hell of a journey.
Wow.
I got it.
I love that to the river card of like, how do we need to enter that water and let go?
All right.
Okay.
Let's October.
Got us to October. Hope you don't pull it again.
It's a really long.
It'll be funny. Just the rest of the year.
Right.
Love this card. So now you've like really dove deep on the thing that you love. Are you leaving it? Where are you going? The world is full of endless possibilities, and it's bringing us to October, which is another bear card. So we've got a lot of bears and a lot of roses in this deck, and I pulled the 3 of bears, and this card is when I paint my masterpiece.
Aww.
Okay? And
I know.
the card shows a skeletal hand holding a paintbrush, and he's painting a painting on an easel, and there's 3 little bears, and each of them is holding a different suit. One's got a bolt, one's got a skull, one's got a rose. And this card is really about the fact that like everybody's love is different. Everybody's masterpiece is different. Is your masterpiece about intellect and air, the skull cards? Is your masterpiece about creating something with love in relationship and your love life, like the roses? Is it about creative manifestation, travel, so on and so forth? With the bolts, right? We're all like a little bear having to find what we love and our path in life. And so after the deep dive of exploring what it is and where we want to go, this is the card that we're really going to start. The threes are like, one is the very start, the thought of it. Two, you kind of meet the energy of the card. But when you get to three, you got 1, 2, and you put a third on top, like a little upward arrow, and you're ready to like move into action.
Wow.
Love it. Feels like getting back to basics in some way.
Yeah. It when I think about this in terms of what we're doing this for, I feel like there's something that we don't even know what it is right now that's coming. Like something, a direction, or
it's interesting
a
that
focus.
there's 3 bears that kind of
3 bears.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like this is calling out something that like we can't even see right now.
Well, I want to take a stab at it because I love the fact that the little bear down there is holding the rose and hugging it and loving it. And I definitely think that would be me. And then the blue bear's got the bolt and it's kind of like, whittling it and holding it. And then the other bear with the skull's being silly. It's on top of his head. And it really, I feel like it depicts the 3 of us. And whatever this hand is painting is this 4th empty spot, which maybe it's a morph of all of us. And that's why we can't see it yet because it hasn't been created yet through whatever the year is bringing.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I also love that at the bottom of the easel is this bramble of roses still, but they've turned blue and just one of them has made it out of the bramble, but it's still red.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're going to figure it out. You're going to get out of that bramble. You're going to leave behind the parts you no longer need, and you're going to grow the one that you do.
Oh boy.
Overall, it's a good card. It combines the action and the energy of the 3 with the stability of the 4. So it's time to, it's time to put our dreams into motion. It's time to integrate what we've learned. September wants us to integrate, and it wants us to start to create a plan for what comes next. I love the lyric, the streets of Rome are made of rubble. Rome is this ancient, beautiful city. And it's all those little bits of rubble, the brick by brick. Rome was built. It like you said earlier, you don't do shadow work in a month. You don't build Rome in a day. It's about planning. It's about strategy, but it's also about moving forward step by step. And so we're revisiting our foundation here, I think, and we're wanting to make sure everything's strong and that, after the deep work that we've done, are we still truly aligned? Are we still truly connected to our purpose and what we're here to create?
Well, and also, Mel, you're talking about the 3 bears representing us. They are all on the same canvas. So they are on the same page, literally.
With all like the rose with the heart and the skull with the thoughts and the bolt with the energy. Like it really is pretty telling.
Into November, baby.
All right. Oh my God.
No.
Oh, stop.
I'm going to guess the Queen of Roses.
No, but do you remember, Liz, I think you were saying that which card comes up for you a lot? What was it? The one that
the 8 of Roses.
And I was going to say what card comes up for me a lot, but I didn't because we just kind of got sidetracked. And this is the card that comes up for me a lot. 3 of Bolts.
Oh,
right.
I get this card so much.
I love it.
It is either in readings or in my own reading. I have picked this card at least 10 times. Like it is something that I think, Liz, I might have picked it when we
pulled it at Skull and Roses.
when we were at Skull and Roses.
I love it.
But so, okay, to describe the card, it's a big, the skull is the most prominent thing along with 3 bolts, and the skull has his mouth open, and the 3 bolts are flying from his mouth, and in the opening of his mouth, it's like looks like sky, but like a galaxy, space, and then as the bolts are out, the blue gets lighter and lighter into almost blue white, and the skull is like hovering above it. It's water, but it's brown water, and there's 3 ships sailing out. And the sun is high up above, right up at the top. So it's not setting and it's not just gone up. It is fixed in the sky. And so, working with the energy of the 3 that you were just talking about. Yeah. And I mean, for thinking of this is just like, again, with that 3, me, Erin, and Apple, and just being what it looks like to me is like all of us speaking our will into existence and finally coming to a place where we know what it is that we want collectively and individually in that collective. Does that make sense?
And also the 3 ships down in the bottom could be like the shell of what we don't need anymore sailing off into the horizon and speaking something new into being.
And also it could be that we're on the same sea, but also going different ways, kind of like the bears. I was holding a rose, whatever. So you have these different, bolts going out in these different directions, but still in the same, again, on the same page, in the same vicinity.
What song is this card?
Mississippi has to.
Oh, love that song.
Come on, maybe you're going goodbye. So an interesting note on this card is my now 10-year-old, but at that point, 8 or 7-year-old daughter drew the concepts for a few of the cards, and this is one of them. She would come in when I was working and say, "What are you working on? What does it mean?" And she would sit down and do some thumbnail sketches on my little sheets that I had set up. And a couple times they were just better than what I came up with.
Yeah, so cool.
And this is one of them. And it's exactly that. He is now speaking his manifestation into the universe. He's almost ripping a hole in the space-time continuum, and the very high position of the sun is again kind of like the sunflower card, like the auspiciousness, like the sun god is shining down on you for now manifesting your will. And in order to do that, you need to start talking about your ideas. And at the bottom of the card, the sea is brown on purpose, and it is almost like a bay. You're not sure, is it a river, is it a bay? It's surrounded by cliffs and mountains, and that often in the tarot deck symbolizes difficulties. And so you've been kind of, do I leave the bay, do I not, is there difficulties? You're almost like stuck in sand. That's why the water is brown. And this card is saying, no, you don't have to be stuck. What you need to do is start talking about your dreams to bring them into reality. Tell the universe what you want.
Wow.
I love that it's a 3 following another 3 too. It's, and when you think about the first, big chunk of the year, we have court cards, major arcana cards. We have the repeat of the 8. These 2 cards kind of bring it back down a little. They bring us back to, connect to the basics, taking action, being, practical, but effect in what we're wanting to create. Intentional, right? There's an energy of intention to both of those cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, bring us down.
And then we're ready. Then we're ready to put it into motion.
All right, bring us home.
Feeling very excited and nervous right now.
I know, me too. It's a lot of pressure. The Knight of Bears.
Ooh, bears, man.
All right. So this card in the Thoth deck is one of my favorite cards. It's a knight. He is seated on a skeletal horse in this deck. He's got his armor on, but his visor is up. So he is not in battle. He has a little bear sitting in the saddle with him, and he's got his arms around him. He's protecting him. And up in the sky is the all-seeing eye, the fiery eye looking down at him. And if it's hard to tell if he is standing in the ocean or not on this card. I kind of like to think that he is. And the color palette of the card is really interesting. There's a gradient that from the bottom of the card to the top goes from kind of dark and murky, looking upward to where the eyeball is orangey and brighter. So to me, it's coming out of some darkness into light in a lot of ways, and being able to look to the future to see the good that's there, and knowing that, keeping your eye on the prize, so to speak, and knowing that the universe has your back and is looking out for your best interest at the same time. And like I said, he's got his armor on, he's protected, but he's not fighting. His visor is up, so his vision is clear. He can see where he's going.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's help on the way. Which is pretty, I mean, really deep and rich lyrics to that song. And this is one that, like, for me, like, I felt like I was still really, I mean, there's many parts, but that I was really learning as, you know, I wrote it, learning as it developed for the deck, learning as I would pull it for other people. It has the Knight of Bears has a very strong work ethic, you know, and he's on a mission. There's something that he is set out to do. And it's, I look at him down here in this very material physical body, but up here is this, like you said, this all-seeing eye, or this divine self looking back at him. And how can he unite with that? How can he, like, reach out of his material body, you know, and beyond the confines of that structure and into a divinely centered purpose? And this combination of earth and fire, you know, enough earth to ground the fire, enough fire to, like, push the earth, you know. It's a really powerful, potent card.
I just want to mention that we bookended the year with we had the Queen of Bears for January and the Knight of Bears for December.
Yeah.
I just want to throw that in there. And that little bear that has been protected now is sitting on that horse. And so
oh, wow.
It feels to me like the bear has daydreamed with the queen through this entire year and is now seeing through that eye she told him the story. The journey was taken on the horse, literally, but he's sat there looking at it through this eye.
And one of the things you did with this deck that I really, really love.
And the coloring is so similar too on those cards.
With each card, you gave, for the upright and the reversal, you gave like 3 buzzwords or highlight words. And the 3 words for this card are discipline, determination, and ambition. And to me,
really,
those 3 words can have negative connotations, all 3 of them, right? If you're too disciplined, too determined, or too ambitious, you're an asshole, right? Like, yeah. So there's a fine line here, that middle path again that we're talking about.
I think I'd add the word purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Purposeful.
That's
where this is we've discovered our purpose. We, like you said, we've worked for the queen the whole time, and now we know where we're going.
I also love the fact, though, that the last card had the 3 bolts that we are supposed to be speaking into the universe, and now Erin just gave us the 3 words to say.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
Our
right?
attention.
But I also love, you know, it's, you know, wings spread bright, spring from the night to the sun. And it's like, we're back to the middle of the summer with the sunflower card, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, this card, Help on the Way, means so much to me. I actually have
It's
a
amazing.
tattoo on my arm, which is a knockoff of my dad's tattoo, which is the skull ripping out of the ace of spades, and his said born to lose. He got it right before he went to Vietnam and got completely blinded by a booby trap. Became a junkie, became a psychologist, whatever, and eventually died, and is buried in Arlington. And his grave says, "In the dark he saw." So crippled but free. I was blind all the time. I was learning to see. And my tattoo has the skull ripping out of the ace of spades, but there is a third eye flying eyeball coming out of his skull, and it says "Born to See."
What?
And so this card means so much to me. Like, and he was such the kind of father. Like, he was that knight holding that little bear. Like, you know.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a version of Help on the Way that Joe Russo did that is etched in my mind. I'll never be able to get out. And every time I think of it, it brings me back to that feeling of feeling that song for the first, like, not the first time, but for
The first time you felt it.
yeah, the first time I felt it. And it just, it does something very special to me too, Erin. I totally get it. Like, it's not so deep with my dad, but it was just like the feeling of, like, you know, what the Dead songs do for you, man. It just pulls you into this time, space, and puts a stamp on it. And now every time you hear it again, that stamp comes to life.
Looks like it's going to be a hell of a year.
So, okay, ladies, let's wrap it up. Let's see what you all think for now that we've got everything on the table. I don't know if you wrote it down, but I did if you didn't, and we can kind of sum up.
Why don't you review it for us, and then we'll...
Okay, so January, the Queen of Bears. You know, we talked about self-connecting and making choices that matter. And then we went into February with the Queen of Roses. With the Queen of Roses for the woodcutter's daughter, being a little bit more balanced. And then we went into Broke Down Palace with, what card was that?
The River.
Oh, the river. That's right, the River. Ooh, where we needed to make some decisions and to release some old habits and old patterns to continue to move forward. And then we went into the Page of Bolt, into that little innocence, like a new beginning of, you know, that naivete, but also that strength that we don't even know that we've got. She's leaning on this humongous bolt, but not everyone can do that. She's got proximity to her. Okay, so then anyway, we move forward to the Seven of Bears, realizing that we need to acknowledge and appreciate where we already have put our energy and realize that our harvest is waiting to be picked. Meanwhile, we're planting another one. So we need to take stock and realize we've already achieved great feats. And then in June...
Queen of Roses.
Okay, so there was the Queen of Roses again. And... gosh, I feel like that happened twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's our first double.
Okay. So, you know, smell the roses, sit back and take stock again. Kind of like, I feel like May and June did the same thing that August and September did. You know, it's a period of time. So maybe, you know, we're thinking of months, 30 days, 31 days, but this is a season that we need to go through. And that's kind of why it's repeated. And then Sunflower is finally like, hey, kick back. You hung out and you're ready to party, enjoy the fruits of your labor. And it's not like you didn't do anything to deserve it. You've got tons of things that you can look back on and now enjoy the magic that you've created. And then we go into the Eight of Roses, which is going down the road feeling bad and leaving that familiarity behind and stepping up to something new and realizing that there's endless potential with that sun and the moon, and we must move forward, you know, and move out of our comfort zone. And we're still dealing with that in September. We're still realizing, like, it takes a while to break habits and it takes a while to move forward. You know, sometimes we think that we can just do it because we know it. And sometimes knowing something doesn't always equate right action. So then we get to October with the Three of Cutie Little Bears that, you're painting our masterpiece, and we're leave behind the parts you don't need, and putting our dreams into motion, and like actually in creation for this. And then November with the Three of Bolts coming into manifestation and speaking into existence, that discipline. What else was the other one? Discipline, determination, and
achievement,
ambition,
discipline, determination, and ambition, and setting them out. And then we've got the Knight of Bears. He's the help on the way. The circle is complete. We started out with the little bear. We end with the little bear. The story has been gone through every stage, and we were never alone. We've always been guided, and we've always... I want to say one thing. When you look at all these cards put together, the hues are all very similar. And so and looking at them, it seems very dreamlike. So a lot of the energy in this is taking place in the earth, but is also very ethereal, So I guess that's as best as I could sum it up.
Not a single skull.
No.
Oh,
yeah. Whoa, you are so right.
It's time to put down the sword. Stop fighting. Stop fussing. Get out of the head. Get into your body. Get into your heart. Get into your passion. Yeah,
That's really good.
It feels like a year of empowerment, but also of reconnecting to balance. Of how do we live in balance? How do we balance our passion with our compassion? Right? Like how do we do the hard work that we need to do, but also how do we receive when it's time to receive? There's something about this sort of ebb and flow that it feels like within this that keeps moving us toward a sense of being that knight on that horse holding this bear, like looking at our higher purpose, being here now in our bodies, and knowing the whole picture, that it's not, back to the scarcity hustle we talked about a little bit. It's learning to ride that wave, that there's a flow to it, and that we don't have to attach to the highs or the lows. We can kind of be in the process of it all as that observer, right? And how
for me, really, I think a message of path. Like 2023 is your year to discover your path, not what other people think. Don't get caught in your head. And I love that it started with one of the bear court cards and ended with one of the bear court cards, because they're the only court cards in which you kind of do see this little journey travel, like the river, the pink and blue and turquoise river or whatever that flows. It flows from the page through the knight, through the queen, and into the king. It connects all four of them, and this little bear gets passed from person to person, skeleton to skeleton, and so it's really kind of beautiful that it's like the first card is, I'm going to help you find your path in home and in work. And then the knight is like, I'm here, I got you, and we're going to keep going forward together. We've learned what our next thing that we love, that we're passionate is, and we've laid this groundwork here in 2023 to do it. It was a real build-up. This was a great reading.
And he's looking forward into the new year too. That's what it looks like. He's in December, looking forward into that new year. It's pretty profound. I mean, I know we went over it and we all said a lot, but there's a lot here still. There's so much here.
I really hope that everybody that listened through all of this, that you felt what we're feeling, because it's special, man.
And I want to just say too, kind of like what you said earlier, Liz, and I just want to say, if you felt anything through these cards, maybe one of them, maybe the whole reading, reach out to any of us. Reach out to Liz, reach out to Erin, reach out to No Simple Road. We want to hear it. We're talking about energy. We're putting our energy out there. We did this entire mystical reading over just let us know what you feel.
Yeah.
We want this one to be interactive. We really do. We want, because it's not to pat ourselves in the back. It's like a confirmation that we're all on the same path and we're hearing the same message. So that's why we want the, feedback.
And I want to throw out one thing to the listeners too, is like I, as far as all of us here, I'm still kind of the learner, the student.
We're all
whatever.
learning.
We're all learning,
Exactly.
brother.
No, I know. That's what I was going to say. That's one thing I've learned from the beginning of this and talking to you guys and reading the book, the forward, that this is not one of those things where you have to have any credentials. There is no wrong answer. It's interpretation. It's like the songs. It's like the Grateful Dead songbook.
Mm-hmm.
They mean so many things to you in different ways and can mean different things in different areas of your life, different seasons, everything. Tarot is amazing. It's a tool that is open to interpretation, and it's just to help you better yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to get a glimpse of, like, sometimes life comes at us sideways, and it can be scary and throws you off balance. And, if you have a little heads up prior, it's sometimes helpful, and this, one of the things I'll say about tarot is none of it is set in stone. It's fluid. It's always changing. Your life is different from moment to moment. So just because you pulled cards that say something one way doesn't mean that it's like, that's it. It's written. That's your fate. Anything you do, it's going to happen. Like, it's not how this works. And like Apple just said, it's open to interpretation.
I like what you said earlier, Erin, about it being a snapshot of the path that you're on, so you can see fully and make an informed choice. I love that.
It's beautiful.
You're able to see a
we
picture.
have free will,
Yeah.
We have free will, and it's important to remember that. We see what path we're on, but we can always switch paths.
I also liken it to, like, I'm a really bad menu chooser when I go out to eat, and sometimes I'll get down to 2 things and the waitress is coming, so I'll flip a coin and maybe it'll land on heads and it'll mean the burger, and by it telling me that fate wants me to have the burger, I'll immediately know, oh, I really did want the burger. I'll be like, oh shit, I don't want that. I want the salad. So cards are kind of like that too. They'll be like,
yes,
oh, look here, this is what it is. And you're like, no, time to reverse path,
Yes, I love that.
I also want to say thanks to you both for spending 2 hours with us. Like, you're so generous with your time.
It's our
and
pleasure.
You're so sweet, and I love you two so much. You're so rad.
You guys are great. We'd love to hang out more.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so if anybody wants a reading with Erin or Liz,
go to so many places.
right? But if anybody wants a reading with Erin or Liz, where can they get one, and where can they find the deck?
I think it's www.gratefuldeadtarot.com, and there's a little header up top that has readings and about and our shop and all the things.
And
I just added. So originally, if you wanted a reading, you filled out a little form and kind of contacted us through our email, and it's still kind of the same, but I did just create gift certificates in the shop. So you actually go to the shop, you pick the 30, 60, or 90, and then you just redeem it by, again, emailing us. But you can also send those gift certificates out to a friend as a Christmas gift or a birthday gift or whatever. So now you can purchase for other people.
And what did we decide? 48 hours for Simple 20?
Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that's enough, or do you think
No, that's great. So if you're listening to this on the day it came out, you want to get 20% off, go to GratefulDeadTarot.com, order your deck, and put in the promo code Simple20. You're going to get 20% off because you're part of the No Simple Road family, and you're rad. And we love you.
Yay.
Yeah. Right on. Wow.
So on a selfish note, when are we going to see you ladies? Or next, do you think?
I'll be at MSG. I think Erin's coming. You coming?
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. You guys, are you going to be at MSG?
No.
We're going to Mexico. We're saving it for Mexico.
We are not in Mexico. Erin and I are talking about Skull and Roses.
Oh yeah, we'll be there.
We'll be there.
So Skull and Roses.
Yeah.
Good
You belong
possibility.
there.
That's what Erin said. I'm just like,
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's honestly like if that's from now on. Like, why wouldn't? Well, it just makes sense. Like, oh, we love the Dead. We made this tarot deck, but I'm not gonna go to a Grateful Dead. Like, you gotta go. You gotta go.
Wow.
Twist it. Guys.
Sorry. Selfishly and not at the same time.
What's the card that we pulled that was like, just, take the time to make sure you're looking at all the all the ups and downs, ins and outs.
Right.
And
Thank you, ladies, for your time. We have to get going because we're going to do zoo lights with our grandbaby before they leave tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. You guys get out of here.
We'll talk to you soon. I'll be in touch about when this is coming out. Love you both.
Yes,
whole bunch.
love you both.
Love you so much.
Thank you for inviting us back. And to anyone listening
so much.
us twice, thank you as well.
Anytime.
I'd love to do this every year.
Me too.
All
Talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.
Good night, guys.
But it's a burden. Felony just been deferred, and hella means been the earth, and alchemy can bring the birth, the melody of a newborn. So persistent, so resistant, so insistent, so commitment, so resilient, or haven't you learned it? No simple road. 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 My windshield is shattered as I focus through the spot in the corner that is still intact. The react is both a defense mechanism as well as a fear. We've traveled this road before, so we may think, but it's a tad bit of strange similarities that feed an A=A complex. The fears of your past do not equal the perplexities of the current road.
Hey listeners, I want to tell you about the April-May 2023 issue of Relics magazine. Features a Dave Matthews Band cover story with additional articles and interviews with The National, Graham Nash, Wayne Shorter, ALO, Ivan Neville, our friend Eric Krasno and Stanton Moore, Marty Stewart, and much more. Check out the latest version of Relics and subscribe now at relics.com/DMB. Thanks, Relics.
Well, hey friends, my name is Zach Lupetin. You may know me from the band Dust Bowl Revival, but I also host a music discovery podcast called The Show on the Road. For the last 5 seasons, I've been able to dive deep and have intimate chats with folks like the Lumineers, Ani DeFranco, Wolfpack, Keb Mo, Lake Street Dive, Bela Fleck, and more. So guess what? After 150 conversations with some of my favorite songwriters from around the world, we are bringing brand new episodes to the Osiris Network. New interviews and intimate acoustic performances will be coming at you this summer. And which episodes are coming next, you ask?
I am Zach Goody, the lead singer for the band Smash Mouth.
Our band is called Milky Chance. We are based in Berlin.
My name is David Shaw. I sing and write songs with my band, The Revivalists.
Trust me, these conversations go some wild places. So subscribe to The Show on the Road on Osiris, and we'll see you soon.